Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel Anime Orange, and this week in 3D metal model news. Actually catching up from last week. I had mentioned in last video, was kind of a quick video, not as put together as I normally do. I had mentioned the exclusive model that MacLeod has teamed up with another game company to release an exclusive model with a game. This time it's the R-Type 2 Final 2, I think it is, limited edition. It's the game's whole package. It's a little bit similar to the last game that they put out, or last game that they partnered with, which I've got, the Ikaruga game. I ended up getting that one. It's a little bit pricey. I've got the model. One of these days I'm going to put it together. This one is a bit pricier. I think the Ikaruga one was about $60 some. This is $84.99, so a pretty steep price tag. Don't really know anything about R-Type 2. It looks like another shooter, probably something I would enjoy. It is available for the Switch, the PS4, and the Xbox. Comes with, in the package, in the whole collector thing, is a soundtrack, a deluxe hardcover art book, artwork for the R-Type 2 Final 2, the Metal Earth model, the exclusive model, and a collector's box. Supposedly available in 2021. I didn't see any more specific details than that. We're really kind of early on information about this. As a matter of fact, the only pictures that we have from the website that I've been given where you can pre-order it, I think pre-order it from, is basically a render of the model. So we don't even have an actual picture of the model yet. We just have a rendering of what it's supposed to look like. So it looks like they're kind of early in unleashing this information or releasing this information, and I will put a link to where you can buy it if that's something you want to do. I know that price tag has already scared away pretty much everybody I've talked to about it, including me. I'd love to, but $84.99, that's kind of a steep one. So I don't know if I'm going to end up getting that. It's not looking like it. It would be neat to have the model. It would be neat to have the game, but $84.99. But I wanted to kind of catch up on that and actually include some pictures of the link and what I have so far. It's not much, and just kind of touch base on that again. Other than that, there's not a whole lot this week. It's really not much of anything new, just kind of following up with some other things. One of which is, a while back I talked about how you could get the Innova Toys catalog. I finally got mine. It's honestly a little disappointing. I was really hoping it'd be a sneak peek at some stuff coming up. One of the big things was the Mandalorian models, but we already have the Mandalorian models, so we already know what they're going to look like. So the catalog is not that impressive. Honestly, it was the same way last year when I got it. It's got a few of the models in it. It's not a complete catalog of all the Metal Earth models. It's just something short and simple and colorful and meh. Did not see anything new from Peace Cool, anything new from Metal Earth. I did look around AliExpress. One of the things I am noticing is a lot of stores are gearing up for a Black Friday sale. And just like I've done before with AliExpress, if there's something you're interested in getting, or if you have a favorite store, go check them out, see what they're doing. Different stores do different things, and you really need to shop around, because one store may be running what looks like a great Black Friday sale where you get the model cheaper, but you might make up the difference in shipping, whereas another model may have it for a higher price but free shipping. You really got to shop around and compare to get the best deal with that. So I'm not going to try and put any particular stores. I did notice that, like Funny Model Store, New York Store, Metalhead, and Magical Model Store, which I've talked about before, all seem to be having Black Friday sales, but not everybody is. So go check that out for yourself. If you're familiar with AliExpress, if you're not, just go aliexpress.com and look around, because there's a lot of different stores that sell these models. Some have a better reputation than others. If you have any questions about a particular store, you can ask me, or you can go to the Metal Earth subreddit. People on there are pretty good about, you know, sharing what stores they shop with or what they kind of warn against, that kind of thing, and just see what sales are out there for what you're interested in. I did see the Dating Street Ancient Theatrical Stage and Academy are on different stores on AliExpress, so they're fairly easy to find. As for the Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man from Peace Cool that I talked about recently, not seeing them but at one place, and that is the Superb Toy Store. They have them for sale. I'm not seeing them anywhere else. I want to say Superb Toy Store was the only store that got the previous Marvel Hulkbuster model, and that one was not really seen anywhere else. So if you're interested, I'll include a link to the Superb Toy Store's website, you know, their store on AliExpress, where you can pick up those Marvel models, which I'm debating on doing. I know a lot of people aren't fond of the legs and whatnot, but they just seem to me like they're modeled after the comic, so not that big a deal. Anyway, there's a link for that if you're interested in getting those. They are very, very colorful and kind of interesting looking. Oh, and I will add that on the Superb Toy Store, they're about I think they're $21.99 each US dollars. And you can get all three for $62.20, so it's a little bit of a savings if you get all three models together. One of the other things that I wanted to catch up on a little bit from, not last week, but the week before, well, I was going to talk about it last week and I didn't because of the situation, was I wanted to kind of talk about some of the comments and go back over. I had asked if you were going to give advice to a newcomer to Metal Earth models or 3D metal building, what advice would you give? What thing would you tell them? I got quite a few comments on that, so thank everyone very much for your comments. I will eventually put together a collection of this stuff, try and filter it all down into collective advice, because some people said a lot of the same things, and I do want to make a video just for new people, advice from other people, not just advice from me, which honestly a lot of it's echoed, not echoed, but a lot of the same things that I would say. A lot of people said the same things, but advice from other builders. I think that would be a little more, I want to say to the point, but a little more weighty. Therefore, it's just not come from me, but to come from others. So thank you everyone for commenting and leaving your comments. Just kind of in brief, there were several people that said start with an easier model if you're new to this, like under $10. And Metal Earth does have some cheaper models, so it's a good idea to start with easier models to work your way up. And different people give different reasons, but I think it all is fairly obvious for anybody who's built these models, just to get used to shaping some of the curves or some of the folds or some of this or some of that. You know, start with the easier ones to work your way up to getting used to that before you get to something more complicated. People talked about, several of the comments talked about using the appropriate tools, whether that be specialty tools like the cone shaping tools that I sell, or specialty tweezers, or there's some tools you can get from AliExpress that are like tab bending tools and side bending tools, which I've got one of those and I've never even used it and not talked much about it, but there's a lot of different tools you can get to help making these models, or just find things around your house, pens and pencils and marbles and stuff that can shape stuff. So using the appropriate tools can help a lot, and several people gave that advice. At least one person talked about organization, as far as, well, just keeping organized is better. Maybe having a box to keep stuff in to keep it safe, or if you travel, and even having like magnetic sheets. And I know some people do this. I do not, having magnetic sheets to lay the pieces out on to keep them organized. That's not how I build, but that's a perfectly acceptable way to do your models if that's what works for you. I know Metal Earth Builder does that. He actually cuts out all the pieces and puts them out in order on strips of magnets, and it's just not my style, but there's nothing wrong with it. And people mentioned looking ahead in the instructions to make sure you know what direction you're going, to see if maybe there's a step down the road that may alter the way you do the step that you're at. That's always good advice. I've said that a lot. And another thing several people mentioned is being patient. Take your time and take breaks if you need to. Don't get mad at the models. If you get to that point, chill. Go do something else. Distract yourself. Take a break. Get away from it. Come back with a fresh mind and calm mind. And I've made that advice too. Some of my older videos, I would break into the builds and make little comments like that. I haven't been doing it as of late. I've got so many viewers at this point. I feel like most people understand. Maybe I should get back into making those comments again. Take your time, be patient, don't rush it, stuff like that. I used to say that, and I haven't lately. I don't know, what do you think? Should I start including that in my videos again? My build videos and whatnot? Is that a good idea? Let me know. In reading the comments, another thought that I had, because I'm doing this because Christmas is coming and I want to put something together for the inevitable newcomers to the hobby, because every year like I've said before, people get these as gifts for Christmas, and now they're trying to figure out how to build them. They're trying to look for advice. They find my channel, my views go up. It's happened year after year. I've thought about putting up a video. This thought came to me when I was reading Denise Daniels' comment. I didn't even make a note of the comment here. Or something about the comment made me think, well, maybe I should make a video. I think it was about starting with easier models. Maybe I should make a video as a sort of a buyer's advice or buyer's guide for people who are thinking about buying this model for friends or family, or buying a model for friends or family. And maybe there's people out there that are looking at these and thinking, maybe I should get this for my husband or my daughter or my son or my nephew or uncle or whatever. They like building things, but should I get them this model? What information can I find? Where can I look? So maybe I can make a video before Christmas for people shopping and thinking about it, to say, hey, you know, you want to get this person this model. Where is it a complicated or expensive model? Have they ever done these before? You might want to consider getting something cheaper to go before it or with it, to give them a chance to work their way up to the more complicated model. So, and something else has crossed my mind. Certainly leave feedback on what you think of that, just to advise people before they buy the models for somebody as a gift, what should they do? You know, if there's somebody who's looking for advice, is this model going to be too difficult? How hard is this going to be? Should I start with this? Stuff like that. What do you think about making something like a video like that? Is that a good idea? I think it is. It's just something else that crossed my mind. And in the video with the comments about advice to new builders, there were a couple of other comments not necessarily related to that advice that I wanted to respond to. One of them is from Missy Kim. Maybe that's a neat idea. Maybe you could do a live stream of a simpler model. And I have done that. I did that on Instagram a few times. It didn't get a lot of people. And it didn't stick around long. It was just, it drug on. And I think people got bored with it. But it is something I've thought about doing. I'd like to get for that I'd have to get a better camera, maybe do it on YouTube. Thought about it, never fully pursued it, but that's a thought. It's a thought. I could do a live video of a simpler model. Which one would I do? Gotta get the equipment set up, because streaming on Instagram, you just use your phone, but streaming on YouTube is a little bit of a different animal, and I'm not sure I'm set up for that. But that's maybe something I will try again one of these days, especially now that I have more of a following than I did the last time I did it. But thanks for that. That's something I'll have to keep in mind. Maybe I will try that one of these days. And Max Musterman, I have a question for you. Did you ever dip your toes into traditional car model building? I mean the type of models you have to glue together and then paint. I tried building one for a change, was annoyed to tears. Dealing with glue is so messy. The spray paint to varnish the exterior of the car gave me a headache, and painting small details with a twitchy finger is a nightmare. I really miss the good old metal models. And I wanted to respond to that because there is a little bit of a story behind that. Yes, I did. I used to have quite the collection of AMT, Ertl models, and Monogram and things like that. Back in the late 90s, I worked for Walmart. I worked a third shift for Walmart. And back then, they had an okay collection of model cars. Now most Walmarts, if not all Walmarts, have zero model cars. Model cars are nothing what they used to be. Some hobby stores have a small collection. Some have an okay. I think Hobby Lobby has an okay collection. But other than that, they're really difficult to find outside of a specialized hobby shop, which tend to not stay in business very long. It's really sad. But yes, I absolutely used to do plastic model cars. And I had probably over 100 waiting for me to build. Kind of sounds familiar. One of the things is, the reason I had such a big collection is because working at Walmart, I could keep my eye on them. And what would happen is Walmart would get a bunch of new ones in, and they'd sell a little bit. And then after a while, they would clearance them to get some other ones in, because they constantly rotated their stock. And so I would wait. Usually they got clearance late in the evening, right before I came into work. I would see them on clearance, and on my lunch break in the middle of the night, the store was 24 hours, I would pick out the clearance ones that I didn't have, buy them cheap, and add them to my collection. So after working at Walmart for a couple of years, I ended up amassing a pretty large collection of models that I just hadn't gotten around to yet. And I did build quite a few. I built probably 15 or 20, give or take, somewhere floating around. I have some old school pictures of them, not digital, but actual film camera pictures of them. If I find any of those scanned in, I'll include them. But I had several Corvettes. It was mostly GM cars, but not entirely. I mean, I had a Mustang or two. I had several Corvettes. I had not Cavalier, Chevelles. I had a couple of Chevelles. I had some Pontiacs. I was a big Pontiac fan back in the day. So I had Trans Ams. I had a GTO. I had like an old school like 50s Bonneville or something. I had Thunderbird, T-Bird, a couple of different T-Birds, one of the two-seaters and one of the bigger ones with the convertible. I had so many different cars and a few trucks. I was really fond of stuff from the 40s and 50s. I had so many cars, and several of them I built, several of them I was working on. I ended up leaving Walmart, moved, ended up working at a call center, America Online, or AOL, if anybody remembers that. I was one of the people that answered the phones to try and help people get their service going again. Thank you for calling America Online. My name is Brad. Can I get your screen name, please? Still remember doing that to this day. That was quite a while ago, back in the dial-up days. And one of the things I figured out, I was in the models and I didn't have time to build them at that time. But one of my coworkers liked to do tabletop gaming and would build miniatures and paint miniatures. And he would paint miniatures at his desk at the call center. What he would do is he would use acrylic paints instead of enamel. His enamel is oil-based and fumey. Acrylic paints were water-based and did not have the fumes, so they were safe to use indoors. So he'd bring a small collection of paints and paint miniatures for his game nights. So they gave us a big book bag, big backpack, and I figured out I could fit like 2 models in there and a tray with some of my paintbrushes and some paints. And so I would plan ahead, I would bring a couple of models, and I would work on different parts of the models, mostly painting, while I was taking phone calls. So I'm there trying to help people get reconnected, guiding them through settings and check marks and different screens on the computer, while I have a plastic part and a paintbrush in my hand, painting the carburetor of an engine or the starter, trying to add those details. And it was very zen, it was very relaxing to do that, and it kept me, I mean, I had a dual focus, but I was very much into the call. I had good call times. I helped a lot of people, and I was still able to do my modeling at the same time, and I kept myself calm by focusing on that and not how frustrated the customer may or may not have made me. And I ended up building a few models that way. I took the trees that the parts came in, and I cut them up and glued them into a framework that was like a stand for an engine. So I had 2 or 3 of these that I carried with me so I could paint part of the engine or transmission, put it on the stand to dry while I worked on something over here. And I would paint chrome detail on the body. I even got to where I had a hatchback and I had cardboard in the hatchback of my junky little Honda, and would go out on my lunch break and spray a coat of paint on the body and shut the trunk and go back inside. I was pretty serious about it at one time. But eventually life moved on. Everything got boxed. I quit building. I had kids. Life changed. My focus changed. And I stopped building for a long time. And it's just fun to tell this story. Just kind of a history. I know I'm rambling on. But it partially relates to now because I was thinking of starting model building again on this YouTube channel. And I think I do have a couple of videos buried from several years ago where I built a couple of snap-tight Star Wars models and just did like a similar video what I'm doing now, just showing me build it and like fast forward, but not so much talking about it. And it was to get me back into modeling, and I had met somebody who I thought was going to help me because they like doing models, and I thought maybe they could give me some advice. Because when I did the models before, I had no one to talk to. I just figured stuff out. There was no YouTube. There was magazines, but I didn't have any of them. And I thought maybe I could get some advice and do a better job, and I was going to get back into the hobby, and they didn't help at all, and they turned out to be a disappointing friend. We'll just leave it at that. And after a couple of snap type models, I found these Metal Earth models, and I wanted to give them a try. And well, I could go into that story, but you get the idea. I kind of started building 3D Metal Earth models, forgot about the others. I have somewhere here in the basement, I have a couple that I never got to, including like an engine, a model of like a V8 Ford flathead V8 engine, which I think actually turns after you build it, or it's a 4-cylinder, one of the two. I don't know. Never got around to doing that. Don't know if I ever will, because I'm doing Metal Earth models now. But yeah, I definitely had a history in doing that, and the painting, and doing the little chrome name on the side, and painting the carburetor one color and the starter black, and the oil filter the color, and I would paint the engines the appropriate color for the manufacturer, like Ford orange or Chevy blue or whatever, or paint the taillights and the turn signals, and just I went all out to try and detail these. I didn't always do a great job, but I tried. So I have a history years ago of actually doing that. Almost got back into it, but started building these instead. Thought I would share. So yeah, I don't know if you knew this was going to turn into story time, but just that comment, I just really wanted to comment on. I did respond to that in the comment section, but I really wanted to elaborate on it because I do like telling stories, and I thought that was a related and interesting history on myself. But yes, I absolutely did those models, and I've got a few in boxes that I have nowhere to display that I don't even know what I'm going to do, which is not an unusual place for me. Kind of what happened before. I even had quite a few Star Trek models. The big Enterprise ships. I had the Star Trek V, the Voyage Home ship model kit after the movie came out with the little shuttlecraft. And I had DS9, big DS9. I had I think they called it the 3-piece adversary set. It had the Ferengi ship, the Romulan bird of prey, and the Klingon bird of prey all in one kit. I had that one. I had the original Enterprise. I had the shuttle model. I had quite a few Star Trek related models because I was a huge Star Trek fan. But that was back before cameras were easily available and YouTube was a thing. And speaking of responding to comments, I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on to last video where I basically recorded a video in my truck. And one of the comments on that video was, why a car? Well, part of it, a large part of it was being just trying to do something quick. And yeah, I could have come home and hopped down here and set the camera up real quick and recorded in front of this. But a large part of the problem, the reason I did what I did, was because I had, well, my girlfriend was home. And she was getting up early, and there was some things going on around the house, and I knew that if I came home and tried to record immediately after work, there would already be people up. The kid would be doing schoolwork, the girlfriend would be up, they'd be moving around, there would just be no easy way to record. So that's why I actually stopped part way home in an empty parking lot and did the video on my phone in my truck, because that was the best chance I had at quiet. It was a highway nearby, but I was hopefully far enough from it that you didn't catch much of that. It was the best chance I had to do a quiet-ish video and be heard and not have a bunch of interruptions. So that's why it was in a truck and not here at home or anywhere else. It just seemed like the best option at the time with the short amount of time that I had. But yeah, I had been working some overtime and like 8 days straight, and girlfriend was home, and there was just a lot going on around the house, and we were spending time together and watching ghost stories and ghost hunters and things like that, because we enjoy doing that, and not doing video stuff. So yeah, sorry. Another thing I want to mention to all of my viewers is there has been a apparent recent change in the YouTube ad policy. And this goes to the Patreon supporters, is probably more specifically the idea of running Patreon. One of the goals that I had early on was that I get so much a month, I was going to turn ads off on my YouTube channel, and that's what I've done. I'm making more easily. I'm making more on Patreon than I ever did on just relying on YouTube ads, and that's not an unfamiliar thing. A lot of people have ended up in that area. And that was back when it was still kind of easy to make money off of YouTube just by ads. Now it's way harder. Not to say that I'm looking to make money. All the money that I get is either goes to models or sits in an account until I need it for models or video editing or whatever. But the amount of money that I bring in is noticeably more than I would have gotten through YouTube. And so yeah, I absolutely cut all of my ads off on my channel that I possibly could, but as YouTube continues to change and evolve, I think they're cutting some of those back on whether I like it or not. And the recent policy that has changed, that something about videos that aren't monetized may still get ads, but I won't get any of the revenue. I think it's geared more towards people who aren't partners, so they just simply can't earn ad revenue, but they're still going to show ads on their channel. But I can easily see that happening to this channel, and there's nothing I can do about it other than just stopping YouTube altogether. But I can see them running ads, and I don't get a penny, and I can't stop it. And I apologize for that. So if you see an ad on a video, I really don't like putting ads in my video. I know a lot of YouTubers are putting breaks in their video and commercial breaks and trying to make more money, and I just hate that. I understand YouTube's got to make money. I understand YouTubers need to make some money. It's not why I'm here. I'm not here to live off of this channel. I'm not here to make a bunch of money. And I hate those ads, so I don't put them in my channel. And if you start seeing them, I'm so sorry. It's YouTube. But I wanted to bring that up because I saw that and it was kind of disheartening to know that YouTube's just going to shove them out there anyway. And what choice do we have? Because really there's nothing else out there quite like YouTube. If there ever is, YouTube's in trouble. Anyway, wanted to put that out there. If you see ads, it's not me. I can't turn them off. I've turned off everything I can. And yeah, it stinks. I'm going to leave it at that. I've rambled on quite a bit now. 30 minutes I've rambled on. And not even that much about models. Thank you everyone for leaving your comments. I'm going to put something together regarding all of the comments that you left. And what do you think about making a video, kind of a preemptive video for people shopping for models and whether or not they want to get them for their loved one. Putting together a video for that as well. Any advice on that? What do you think? Leave them in the comments down below, and I will try to cover those next week when I do a 3D metal model news video again, and whatever else that may be new out there. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my Patreon supporters for continuing to support this channel. And as always, keep on keeping on.